All right, so I've got everything laid out here to try to do our Automata box project. The first thing I want you to make sure you got in front of you are 2 side panels, a top and a bottom and a back. As we get setting up here, I want to just make sure that we do a few things to make life easy for ourselves. The first thing we're going to do is just sort of roughly lay out the sides and the top here. And you'll notice this is kind of a tricky thing to do by yourself, but you can kind of make it happen if you need to. I've also 3D printed for my students these little clips so that they can put them together as sort of a third hand here. So that way you can just sort of quickly rough that box together, sort of use that as a helping hand here. And then the back of the box goes like that. So I kind of have my students do that first, just so they can kind of visualize what it is they're putting together, right, before having to actually do the final drilling and glue up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find my sides here, and I'm just going to try to make some marks on these so I can make sure that I keep consistent what side is up and what side's down. And to do that, I just make a little carpenter's triangle that lets me know that this is always the left side and this is always the right side, and I can make sure that my holes stayed lined up. I'm going to do the same thing here with the top and the bottom. Just find the back panel here and I'll do a nice little carpenter's triangle. Helps me know which one's the top, which one's the bottom, and which one rotates what way. 2 ways, and then we just have to find the center of these things. Now, using our compound square here, I can just line that up until I get the ruler lined up so that I can trace a line from corner to corner like that. Another diagonal. We're just sort of applying geometry here. So then when I get my drill, I'm going to come and I'm going to drill through both of these panels, again using my nice indexing arrows to keep them in line, and then just drill straight through both my boards. Now my top here, we can do the same thing, even though this isn't a square, and find the center point again by drawing an X from corner to corner. The more time you take, the more precise your line is. And by doing that, then we can then line our compound square up with the edge of the board. And there you have it. We've figured out where our center line is. On that center line though, you have to figure out how many holes you want to drill across this board. You know, you have 2 ways of going about doing this. If we go ahead and line our square up to measure this thing, this board is 5 inches, right? And if we're going to divide that by 4, that means we can space our holes out 1.25 if we're just, right? So there's 1.25 and there's 2.5, which is our center, 3 3/4. So we can do it that way, right, by doing 1 1/4, 2.5, 3 3/4 to get our holes evenly spaced across 5 inches. Or if you don't like doing math, I'm going to show you a trick here. If we do 2 holes, it's 5 divided by 3, which gives us some complicated numbers. It's 1 2/3. 1 2/3 inches is not an easy thing to put on a ruler, but we can kind of eyeball that here. 2/3, somewhere around there. And let's just use our compass here to swing that around. So that'll be perfect. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make my first swing from the edge of the board. 1 swing. Then I'm going to come to that same point that I just put down. 2 swings. Now if I walk that back from the other side of the board, and then I come back from the other side of my arc, in a second here I'll come back and show you. All I need to do now is come back and square up these points on my board here. So if I take my square here, I'll use another board to make it easy on myself. If we come here, we can find the intersection of those 2 arcs and scribe a line between those 2 arcs that we've swung. We come over here and do the same thing. And by scribing the intersection of those two arcs, we can find the two places we want to drill holes there. So now we have two evenly spaced holes across our center line, and we're ready to drill our holes.